podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC on a Friday where nothing is happening. However, I did forget yesterday to circle back to the transfer rumour that we had yesterday, which is from a journalist who I believe is Algerian. I hope I'm right about that. I think I'm right about that. I think he's an Algerian journalist. And he has said that we are leading the race to sign Rayan Ait Nouri from Wolves, that Ait Nouri wants to leave Wolves this summer. He thinks it's time to move on, and that we're the club in pole position to get that deal done. Now, there's a couple of things that do back this story. Number one, this journalist sat down for an interview with Ait Nouri only a few weeks ago. So he clearly has at least some kind of inside track on the player. Which, I mean, I think Ait Nouri's absolutely fantastic. I think he's one of the best left backs in the league already. He's only just turned 23. He's excellent going forward, great ball carrier, good crosser of the ball. And he's really, really, really underrated defensively. Like, when he's locked in, he can put any right winger in the league in his pocket. And we've seen him do it to Foden. We've seen him do it to Olise. We've seen him do it to Saka. And we've seen him do it multiple times to Salah. Now, obviously, at Wolves, he has primarily played as a wing-back in his time there. But when they did play a back four, he really did thrive as a defensive left-back. The other thing that might stand towards this is that early in his career, when he was at Angers, and he left Angers in 2020 to go to Wolves, we were linked with him. We were linked with him heavily in 2019 and in 2020 prior to signing Costas. And I wonder if that was the deal that we would have made if Mendes hadn't gotten involved and sort of led him to Wolves. But at 23, I mean, he's a couple of years away from his prime. He would make a lot of sense for us from an age point of view. Now, his injuries are a little bit of a concern. We take a look at his injury history. He has had groin issues. So when he was at Angers, he had three different groin issues at Angers. He only missed 4 games because of them. So it's not like they were major. He had 1 groin injury at Wolves, and he missed 4 games from it. But the only really serious injury he's ever had was a broken jaw, which he suffered at Angers. If you look at his career, the 3 groin strains cost him 4 games. That's between 17 and 18. 17, 18 and 18, 19. In 1920, he has an ankle injury which costs him 5 games, an illness which made him miss 1 game, and then the broken jaw, and he missed 10 games as a result of that. Then he also had a virus that cost him 5 games. So he missed 21 games that year, that COVID season, where when COVID hit and the whole world was trying to figure out what to do, Then he moves to Wolves, the season where there's no fans for the whole thing. He's a bruise. He misses 2 games. And a groin injury, another groin injury. And he misses 3 games. Then in 21-22, he has a head injury, got a concussion, and he missed 3 games. And then another groin injury, and he missed 4 games. So now we're at 5 different groin injuries. But he's only missed 11 games because of them. And the last one was December of 2021. So we're 2.5 years on from that, and he hasn't had another one. He hasn't actually been injured in 2.5 years. He's had an illness that cost him 1 game in 22-23. This past season, he played 33 Premier League games. That's the most games he's played in his career. At Angers, he had the season he broke into the team, which was 18-19. He played 3 games. The following season, he played 17 games, but he had the broken jaw, the virus, and the ankle injury. The next season, he begins with Angers. He has the virus, and then he has... No, sorry, he has a bruise. He has a bruise, and then he has the transfer to Wolves. Goes there, a groin injury, 3 games, but he plays 27 games in all competitions. But he's still really young at that point. Like, he was 19 beginning that season, turned 20 at the end of it. So to play 27 games in all competitions is pretty good. The following year, he plays 27 games. Again, he's 20 turning 21. So that's about what you'd expect. Then last season, again, he plays 27 games in all competitions. And then this past season, he plays 38 games. So he hasn't missed. Like, when you look at his injury, there's a lot of his injury history. There's a lot of things listed there. But you're looking at 38 games missed through injuries, over injuries and illness. Overall, 7 of them through illness, the rest through injury. But he hasn't missed a game through injury in 2.5 years. So it does appear like whatever issues he had might have just been down to him growing up. You know, we've seen that with other players. And with a bit of luck, he's past that. Now, the rumoured price on him is about 38 million, which for a 23-year-old who's one of the best left-backs in the league, and I think you could make a good case that for last season, he was probably the best left-back in the entire league. From August to May, Gvardiol from probably January to May was the best. But if we look at the whole season, it's hard to argue against Ait Nouri, because Gvardiol was really poor in the first half of the season. And everybody was laughing at City for spending 78 million on a player and then sticking him out of position where he was struggling. But once he adapted, he was really good. But go up and down the Premier League, and who was better than Gvardiol last season? For me, Ait Nouri is the one that stands out. Nobody at Arsenal. They had a revolving door at left back. Zinchenko was quite poor. Tomiyasu played there. Kivor played there. I think, didn't Timber play 1 game there? Joe Gomez had a really good year. Costas had a decent year, but Costas only played a handful of games, and Gomez wasn't as good as Ait Nouri. Neither of the Villa left backs were as good. Adoinji was excellent, but he missed a whole bunch of the season through injury. Certainly Kukureya and Chilwell weren't better. Certainly Dan Burn wasn't better. Luke Shaw missed most of the season, so nobody United was better. It definitely wasn't Emerson Palmieri. Tyreek Mitchell was good, but not nearly as good as Ait Nouri. Estupinan misses most of the year. Kirkez was good once he settled into the Premier League. That took until about November, December. But he wasn't as good as Ait Nouri. Anthony Robinson wasn't as good as Ait Nouri. Michaelenko wasn't as good. Rico Henry missed most of the year, and Brentford ended up just throwing anybody that could run into the left-back spot. You're certainly not looking at Nottingham Forest. Ola Aina played a lot of games there, left-back, and he's solid, but not nearly the player Ait Nouri is. Alfie Dowdy had a really good year for Luton, but that was in a Luton team that conceded 85 goals, so you can have your shite if you think of putting him in. And neither Burnley nor Sheffield United can be considered here. Over the course of the season, I think Ait Nouri was the best left-back in the league. Now, again, you can point to injuries and other things as a factor there, but the fact is he's playing for Wolves, who finished 14th. And yet, he was consistently excellent in that team. Which, to me, if you can perform at a consistently high level for a club like Wolves, then once you move to a club like us, your life is going to become a lot easier. You're going to be playing with much better players. You're going to have more of the ball, which he thrives with. He doesn't put up big numbers. Last season, he had 3 goals and 2 assists. But again, that's playing for Wolves. You put him in a Liverpool team where we're going to have 65+% of the ball, and he's going to get into positions where he's going to be able to deliver good quality service to good quality players. I think those numbers take up significantly. He's not as good a crosser as Robbo, because very few are. But what he is better than Robbo at is he's better than Robbo at cutbacks to the edge of the box. And if we've got players like, let's say, Szoboszlai, Alexis, and even Trent coming in from right back, arriving on the edge of the area, then that's going to be an avenue for him to get assists. Him right back and Trent left back, it's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Now, the question then is, what does that leave us with defensively? Again, he is a very good defender, but if we're going to ask him to bomb forward, which you'd expect we would, we're going to have to mitigate that with what's behind them. So we know we'll have Virgil and Ibu, but you're at least going to have one really, really good defensive midfielder in front of them. Not like last season. You're going to have more discipline from Trent. Now, maybe Arne Slot is going to use Trent like Gertrude. Defensively, he's not as good as Gertrude, although if you watch Gertrude play for the Netherlands against Austria, you'd think football was entirely new to him. But Gertrude is solid defensively. Now, Trent can be solid defensively. The issue with Trent is never lack of ability to do it, it's the lack of want to do it. But if Trent is tucking in and holding deeper and acting as a playmaker, which is not what Gertrude does, but clearly what you'd want Trent doing, then Ait Nouri in the Hartman role does make a lot of sense. Now, with our pursuit of Calafiori, who David Lynch has confirmed we're definitely interested in, I was assuming he'd play left back, and we'd use Trent in a more attacking kind of role. Maybe we want both. Maybe we want both options, because Calafiori can also play centre-back. And maybe instead of signing Calafiori at a right-footed centre-back, we just sign Calafiori at a left-back. Maybe that's the plan. But I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it's quite an exciting rumour. And he's a really, really good player who would improve us. He is, at this point now, a better left-back than Andy Robertson. Now, he's not as good as Robbo was at his peak, but he's definitely got the talent to surpass that. It's just a matter of whether he reaches that potential. Nobody, when we signed Robbo, would have predicted that Robbo would become what he became with Ait Nouri, rather. I mean, you can see that path. You can see that ceiling with him of just how good he can be. Particularly if you put him into a team with the type of players that we'll have around him. Now, the question would be, who's the ideal left winger to play in front of him? It's not Diaz. I think Diaz is probably a nightmare to play with as a left back. Because I'm not sure Diaz knows what he's going to do with the ball, let alone how anyone else could predict it. It's not Cody, because Cody never goes outside. Cody always cuts back in. Now, that can have benefits, but it makes it very predictable. It could be Szoboszlai, but he's probably more likely to play the 10. So I suppose the hope is that we sell Diaz and buy that left winger. And you buy someone that Ait Nouri can link with going down that flank. Someone like Kvaratskhelia would be perfect. Having the two of them isolating against a fullback and whatever schmuck has to track back to help out, they'd tear them apart. Two elite ball carriers. Okay, on This Is Anfield, they have a Liverpool FC Euro 2024 player ratings. Every red graded in the group stage. So, this should be interesting. We'll have a look. Let's have a look at this one as well. And with this one. And this one. Right, let's see. So, Andy Robertson, 6 out of 10. I think that's very, very generous. Very, very generous. Not a knock on him, but more on his team. I don't think anyone in that Scotland team was any more than a 4 out of 10. Trent, 6 out of 10. I think that's fair. I do think that's fair. He's created more chances than any other England player, and he certainly has him in the issue in midfield, though we know he shouldn't be playing in midfield. So Bosley, 6. Again, I think that's pretty fair. He does carry an exceptional burden for his national team, but he was pretty quiet, and he did struggle to really take hold of games. Now, set-piece delivery was excellent. So at least there's that. Virgil gets a 6. He was very good in the first 2 games that the Dutch played. But Cody Gakpo, 8. That's a bit aggressive now. But he did score a couple of goals, and to be fair, he's been the only one in the Dutch attack that's actually performed, so fair enough. Jota, 5. I mean, he's barely played 42 minutes, so that's fair enough. Gomez hasn't played. Ibu hasn't played, and Gravenberch hasn't played. Neither did Vítězslav Jaros, who is now out of the competition. But hopefully will come back to Liverpool full of confidence, having been called up to a major tournament for the first time in his young career. Sources in England and Italy claim Liverpool interest in centre-back along with 7 other clubs. So it does appear like there are a lot of clubs that are interested in Calafiori. Now, Gary Jacob is not the most reliable in the world, has said that Juventus, which everybody knew, Tottenham, which seems unlikely given they have Mickey van de Ven, and I don't think they're going to spend over 40 million to sign a player to either be the backup or push Van de Ven to the bench. So I just don't see Tottenham. Newcastle have no money. Well, they have loads of money, they just can't spend it. and they have Sven Botman. Now, I know Botman is out until December, but I don't know if they're going to spend 40, 50 million on a player who, again, is either going to be the starter and push one of their best players to the bench or is going to be the backup. Brighton don't have the money. West Ham don't have the money. Real Madrid, my guess is that's just them posturing because of Euro. And Arsenal, and again, they don't have the money to do it right now. They have other needs and wants, and I'm not sure a left-footed centre-back is one of them. They have Gabriel and they have Kivor, and while Calafiori is better than both of them, I just don't see that as an area that they're going to pursue this summer. So I do think it comes down to us and Juve, and by all accounts, Juve are just hesitant to spend that type of money. So we'll see. Liverpool monitor Brazilian goalkeeper as Adrian is already tied to a new club. So Adrian, as we know, is going to Real Betis, where he began his career, and best of luck to him there. And we have been linked with Bento, who plays for Atlético Paranaense in Brazil. He was set to go to Inter Milan, but they decided to join, or to go for Josep Martinez of Genoa instead. Bento's very highly rated, so wouldn't be against that. I just don't think we need to go and buy, because I think Yaros can be that guy. But if they could decide to go and buy, then fair enough. We've got Ali, we've got Taffarel, we've got young Pitaluga. It's the ideal environment for someone like Bento to come in and thrive and feel settled fairly quickly. You wouldn't imagine there'd be, obviously there's a lot of cultural differences in that, but in terms of having people around him that'll make him feel welcome and kind of, show him around and fill in any gaps where he's not sure what the done thing is. You'd imagine that is a pretty good fit. 25, 6'3", well built, and we do like keepers who are big, massive individuals. He's played a lot of football over the last few years. So he established himself as first choice in the 2022 season, and he played 52 games in all competitions. Then last season, he played 62 games in all competitions. And this season, which is, less than halfway through, he's already played 26 games. So, yeah, could definitely see the logic in going for someone like him. Gareth Southgate's plan to use Trent as a midfielder appears to be over, as early team news for England versus Slovakia has leaked. How bad is the setup in England that mediocre journalists like Matt Law have the team news multiple days before the game? So it looks like Kobbie Mainoo will start in midfield when Adam Wharton is just right there and is ideal for what England need. Now, there is the possibility that Trent starts at right back, because Kieran Trippier has been carrying an injury, and if he misses out, then the likelihood seems to be that Walker will go to left back and Trent would come in at right back, because obviously Gareth Southgate is a moron who only brought one actual left back to the tournament, and said left back is injured and unlikely to play. He did, on the other hand, bring 3 right backs and 2 centre-backs who play a lot of football at right back in Konza and Gomez. Apparently, the Egyptians are not going to bring Mo to the Olympics, which could be great news. Darwin scored yet again for Uruguay. I think that's 7 games in a row now that he's scored for Uruguay. Alderson Arroyo is finally set to leave the club 6 years after joining and 0 games in his Liverpool career. Lots of loans, though. Lots of loans. But it looks like he's set to move on. Liverpool legend under Klopp surprises PL football shirt choice. Surprises with PL football shirt choice Instagram posts about Bobby. There's a piece about Calafiore, a piece about Bento, a piece about Darwin, a piece about Luis Diaz and Cody, and another piece about Darwin. And that's all. These are all on Anfield Watch, by the way. Jamie Carragher had his Twitter account hacked, but now has it back. So congrats to him for that, I suppose. And then there is a transfer recap which covers Eze and Yoro and a few other bits and bobs. So there you go. That is what there is on Anfield Watch on AnfieldIndex.com. We have a piece about Virgil and his contract, a piece about Kvaratskhelia, a piece about Klopp potentially managing England, which I just don't think will ever happen. There's a piece about Manuel Ugarte and a piece about Mo. Then podcast-wise, there's the transfer show and there is the Pro Plus that Dave Davis did the other day. There's also obviously our daily Euros pods. Now, today's one, we obviously try and get them out as early in the day as possible. Today's one is delayed because Carl is travelling. So hopefully it'll be out this afternoon. But we're looking at probably a 4 o'clock recording time. Yeah, it looks like a 4 o'clock recording time or thereabouts. But it'll be out as soon as we can get it out. What's Romano got to say for himself? Oh, Romano has said that it looks like Kvaratskhelia will stay at Napoli. Now, I mean, Romano doesn't know what Napoli want. He does what he's told and does what he's paid to say because he's a social media influencer. So if Napoli are paying him to say, oh, tell people that we're not selling him, then it means that he is for sale. He's likely just going to be expensive because that's how things work. And that'll do me for today, folks. I will be back tomorrow. Dave Davis is away on holidays, so I am doing the weekend shows now. And I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do for Sunday. But I think tomorrow we'll have a little interview. So I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
Sports Social Podcast Network.